Hello and welcome back. Today on the bench is not the valve tester, hurrah! Today on the bench is one monoblock, a 50 to 100 watt push-pull paralleled 807 class A. That's the power supply. I built these some time back. I'm sure there's some videos on the channel there covering these. They're just sitting upstairs doing now. I'm not using them, so I'm just having a look at them, and there's a few things that I want to change, and then there's a few things that are, you know, less than optimal, let's say. So let's try and give you a little bit of zoom. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Zoom, 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 zoom. That's about right. So as you can see, the heater wiring there wants sorting out. And then the thing that I've never been really happy about is the input and the volume pot. I mean, these are power amps, so they really ought to be controlled from like a preamp or something like that. However, when I've been using them, I've not always had a preamp to hand, so hence the volume control. So that volume control I would like to put there. I didn't do it like that before because it's a bit difficult. And the other thing I'd like to do is change this XLR unbalanced socket for one of these snazzy new trick recessed RCAs, which cost about $5 each, but they're well worth it. They're a lot better. I'm hoping that will just go in there without too much hassle, but we shall see. I've drilled out the hole so that the RCA connector doings fits, and to try and get that, so what I've used is a step drill and various files, and to try and clean that up, I mean nobody will ever see it, so it don't blinking well matter. I've got an old screwdriver here that has about the right taper. If I just pull you back a bit, if we get this wet and dry, try and pop that round. Not going to be brilliant, but I can just use that to really clean that up. Might as well make a bloody nice job, haven't we? Yeah, I'm happy with that. Most of that will be covered up. Unfortunately though, there is a hole sort of popping out a bit there. Short of making up like a plate or something, there's not much I can do about that, I'm afraid. To make sure it's square, I'll use me square there, and then I'll mark a couple of holes, but obviously, well, let's try and do it around the bloody camera. Drilling holes in amplifiers, you either get it right or you get it wrong. Often it's wrong and you make a pig's ear of it, so you only really get one chance. So right, I'll drill those out. So ready to fit the RCA doodah, but one thing I noticed when I brought these down is this. Hopefully you can see these Bakelite, new old stock Bakelite valve bases have chipped here and here. I've got a couple of bits of the plastic or the Bakelite that's come off, which I can probably glue back, but yeah, they're obviously very fragile, so note of caution with these old valve bases. Be careful, be gentle. Ready to tidy the heater wiring up. I'll just address this. So got the RCA doodah ready to go in, and as you can see we've got a capacitor and a resistor, and that is for, I can never get this right, is it a high pass filter or a low pass filter? What does it do? It only, right, this is a low pass filter. So what this is, it's a 470 picofarad capacitor and a 2K2 resistor, and what that does, that will shunt any RFI radio frequency interference to ground, hopefully, and so we won't get any crap. A lot of amplifier builds you don't see this sort of thing on there, but yeah. And the roll off, the 3 dB roll off point is about 153k. So anything over 153, it'll let everything up to about 153k, and everything over that it will attenuate and shunt to ground. As you can hear, hopefully, it's raining again. I can't remember a year when it's rained so much. Hey ho, onwards and upwards. As Hendrik said, rainy day, dream away. Let the sun take a holiday. Lay back and groove on a rainy day. I quite like rainy days. Anyway, I shall stop waffling and crack on. Well, I've tidied that up a little bit and made a few changes. I had a 220 microfarad capacitor as the cathode capacitor on the voltage gain stage, which was probably a little bit excessive. I know what I was trying to do. I was trying to basically taking into account a 3 dB gain loss per capacitive stage going through the amplifier to try and, you know, make sure we've got loads of low frequency response. Probably 220 microfarads was a little bit too much. Tidied up the heater wiring, just got to put this sort of wiring back in there. One moment. Number one errant daughter calling in wanting a lift. No worries. Anyway, so that's that sorted out. Fitted the RCA socket, tidier, and now we just have to sort of think about the volume control, which is a little bit problematic. Moving over to the bench here, as you can see there are quite a few potentiometers of various sorts and components and God knows what, and whilst I've got several sort of pots with long shafts, and this is only a small selection of the sort of pots with long shafts that I've got, I haven't got 2 pots of the same value, 2 pots that are logarithmic, and 2 pots yeah, full stop. And at the moment I am completely bloody skint, so I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do. I think I'm just going to have to pop something in for now, probably the same sort of thing as I had before, and wait until another time to sort out putting another pot in there. Early the next morning, sun ain't come up yet. Thought I'd get in the workshop before it gets too hot. One of the other little jobs I've got to do is to try and cover these big leads that go from the power supply to the monoblocks which supply the heater voltage current. As you can see, the big thick wires, so that too much voltage isn't dropped across the wire on the way to the amplifier proper. Obviously this looks gash, and I have some of this, I don't know what the hell you call it, sort of like flexible stuff, groovy stuff, but whether that will go on there and whether you can see the wires through there when I get it on there, if I get it on there, I do not know. Yeah, I can only suck it and see. Problem with these connectors, they are very big and need a lot of heat to get the joint, get the solder to flow. So I'm using my Weller with a 900-degree bit, which is rather hot. I think it's about the hottest one you can get actually. Right, I'll get those off camera because it's a fiddly job and trying to do it around the camera will not be fun. I've got the cable's covered. And now sort of got to attach the other end again. However, sort of hit a bit of a problem because I've got to sort of try and hold this, what do you call it, this tubing stuff here. But so what I've done like previously is just use some big heat shrink to just sort of hold that down with a bit of super glue. However, the wires have to come out in such a way that they go into the holder in the correct order. So it's no good like them being swapped over like that. See, hope you can see there's a lot of sun and glare and shit. And they also go through this sort of like big rubber grommet thing, so yeah, they have to be in the right order, and getting them in the right order can be a bit of a mindfuck because you're looking at A, B, C, D, and it depends whether you look at it like that or like that, you know, whether it's spun what's at 180 degrees. So yeah, it takes a little bit of brain power to get the bugger right. And that's the plug soldered back on, and this is the point usually where I remember that I haven't put the little bit that screws on the end. The amount of times I've done that with RCA plugs and whatnot, and that's fucking do the job again. This job though is a nightmare because it needs just so much heat. Right, hopefully then I can put it all back together, and it's already starting to look a lot better than it was, so I shall crack on and try not to burn my hands because that is fecking hot. What did I say? Without forgetting to put bits on. Well, hell's beard. That took me the best part of a few hours, that did, to knock that up. Yeah, it looks a lot better, so you know, I'm sort of happy with that. The thing is, like connectors, every connector can be really difficult to fit, and they can either, you can either do it the easy way or the hard way, and a lot of time like they go on really hard, and so it's trying to get it exactly so that they go together easy. I mean, often you melt like insulators and things like that, so there is an art to it, and I don't know, probably these original connectors had like some sort of application sheet when they were first made, telling you how to fit them and the exact sort of dimensions of where to cut your insulation, etc, etc. I haven't got that information, so I had to do it the hard way. Well, I've finally finished the two heater leads. I think they look a hell of a lot better. So next I'm going to connect it all up and see if it works. Right, everything's connected up. Hope I've put the tubes. Come on, we're English, the valves. Put the valves in all the right places and what have you. Switch on the HP39, no it isn't, HP8903B. Audio analyzer. Frequency 1 kilohertz. Amplitude 1 volts. Turn on the Tektronix 545B. Got the key and everything. We'll just let everything just sort of wake up a little bit. Bit old like me. Getting on a bit. Takes a while to get all the various parts working. How are we doing? Can we see what the fuck's going off? Squeak. Right. I've got no, yeah we have. Right. Turn the key. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thunderbirds or go! Alright. Yeah, well, yay! Thunderbirds a go. Right. Let's see if we've got anything coming out of the amplifiers. On this channel, we've got a signal, but it is looking absolutely crap. So I'm not sure what's going off. Shit. On the other channel, we've got bugger all. So I need to power off, get the old measuring things out and see what the crack is. I found out why we weren't getting, well, one reason why we weren't getting a signal, and that was because I'd wired up the 2C22 valve, like that one on this one, incorrectly. I got the heater wire off by 1 pin, but that didn't cure the problem. So what I did, I then followed the signal through. I checked it so that we got a signal here on the phase splitter going into the grid. I checked that we've got a signal coming out on each anode. I then checked each of the control grids on the 807s. I got a signal there. But when I came to check on the screen grids, which should still have a signal on them, nothing. So now what I'm going to do is check all the DC conditions and see if there's anything wrong there. This is sort of complicated by my utter lack of note taking and coordination, because like I tried to find out where I'd written down the DC conditions when I've done this previously and can't find them. But I have a rough idea of what they should be, so I'll have a quick check and then we shall see what we shall see. A quick DC check of the DC conditions, sorry, a quick test of the DC conditions revealed a few probably indicative readings. Right, can you see here? We should have 500 volts here. We're only getting 364, and also when I first powered these up I could smell things were getting a bit hot, so something is either pulling a lot of current and pulling that 500 volt rail down, or that the power supply is at fault. The other thing that I noticed was that the bias control here could only bias the valves to about minus 22 volts. I should be able to bias them up to about minus 80, so there's something else going off there. So I'm not quite sure what the hell is going off, but to get to the bottom of the problem I'm going to need to do a full DC conditions check and see if anything jumps out and says, haha, this is your fault. And if not, then I need to go back to the power supply, power it up without the monoblocks connected, and find out what the heck is going off. Right, I think I'm onto something. I just checked all the DC conditions. Everything was about right, but a bit off. And so I went to check the cathodes of all the output valves, the 807 output valves, and there was nothing on the cathodes. There should be something because they're part cathode biased. So let's go and check the heater voltage. Oops. As you can see, this bugger all. Not a sausage. So after doing a few preliminary checks of the power supply, everything seems to be working correctly. However, there probably is some screw up on my behalf of wiring the two heater cables. That's a possibility, although that shouldn't really cause a big sag in the HTB plus rail. So I'm going to have to look into this in a bit more detail when it isn't so bloody hot, because it's really hot in here at the moment. It's a bit hard to work in it. So I'm going to cut the video there. Thank you very much for watching. Take care of yourselves. Ta-da for now.